Have you ever wondered where elements such as iron and carbon come from? Dr. Craig Freudenreich wrote an article for How Stuff Works titled How Stars Work in 2000. In this article, he explains how the stars that die can send these elements to Earth. These elements are vital for our survival as well as the survival of other planets and stars. However, this process takes billions and billions of years. Dr. Freudenreich states that there are two ways of star death based on the size of stars. Stars that are similar to the Sun, which have to be less than 1.4 solar masses, and stars that are bigger than the Sun, which have to be more than that. The solar mass is one Sun. Okay, there are 330,000 masses of the Earth that can fit into one solar mass. So it's pretty big. I'm going to begin with the stars that are similar to the Sun. Stars like the Sun expand and explode when they die. This process starts when the core stops fusing hydrogen into helium and the core becomes all helium. When the core is all helium, the core contracts under gravity, heating up again and expanding its layers. The core is still collapsing, however. The star then turns to a red giant, which is just a red color star that is bigger than it was originally. The star's core keeps contracting and expanding until the outer layers explode off. This ejects material to make a planetary nebula. A planetary nebula is just a molecular cloud full of dust and elements and other particles that are important for star formation as well as planet formation. When the core finally turns to carbon and oxygen, the star is considered a white dwarf, which can also then turn into a black dwarf. All a dwarf star is the star that has a dead core, which means nothing is going to fuse and nothing is going to produce out of this core anymore. So with the material of the planetary nebula around it, it can begin to birth new stars. Stars that are bigger die differently than our sun. These stars collapse and explode as well, but the process and end result are different. The stars start fusing helium into carbon. The carbon then can fuse into heavier elements such as magnesium, sulfur, and iron because their mass is so big that they're able to hold these heavier elements in their core. When the core turns to iron, it will collapse on itself. The entire star around it will collapse on itself into the core by gravity, also called gravitational freefall. The iron in the core heats up so hot that and so tightly packed that the electrons and protons in the core will all eventually start to mold into neutrons, creating a neutron core of the star. The core then explodes into a supernova, and the remains of that neutron core can then turn into a black hole if the star has enough mass to crush the neutron core. Then the shock wave from the explosion of the core of the star will then send other planetary nebulas into making new stars. Stars have to suffer very violent deaths in order for us to survive. It's important for the well-being of Earth and other planets because we have to have these certain elements to, go about our daily lives. We have to have carbon for our bodies to survive. We have to have iron in our blood. So these elements and stars dying are very important for us to be here living. They are also very important for other stars and planets to form. Think about the stars next time you come across these elements.